Welcome to Books I Make My Husband Read, a self-described hilarious and heartfelt podcast where I, Kristy, the devoted book lover, curate an unexpected reading list for my husband, John.
And that's me. Each episode will dive into lively discussions, humorous debates, and surprising insights on the books Kristy just has to make me read.
We're here to explore everything from timeless classics to quirky hidden gems, challenging our perspectives and inviting you to join in on the fun.
So settle in, grab your favorite beverage, and get ready for another literary adventure.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Season 3 of Books I Make My Husband Read. I'm your host, Kristy.
And I'm husband John, the one Kristy makes read all of these freaking books.
Did you know that when you married me, there would be required reading?
No, I did not. Damn it, should have read the fine print.
So in our very first episode of Season 3, we'll be discussing a book that you may have heard of, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. In this third book in the Empyrean series, dragon rider Violet Sorrengail embarks on a dangerous quest across her world to find the lost seventh breed of dragons and a cure for her lover, while navigating war, political alliances, and personal loss.
Yeah, this one didn't quite hit as strong as the first two, so I'm sure this discussion will be fairly entertaining.
I agree. I picked this book for John, though, because, one, we have read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. We both very much enjoyed them. We enjoyed the world building, character development. There's dragons. Who doesn't love a book with dragons? I think as we get to the end of this book, we will see our characters triumph over a corrupt government, and who doesn't love that?
Could use some of that in our real world. But hey, if you happen to be new to our podcast, first of all, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. We hope you stick around. A little bit of our format. So what we'll do is we'll provide a spoiler-free summary of the book in case you haven't read it and you're not quite sure what it is. And then later on, we'll provide an audio cue letting you know that we're going to start dropping spoilers so you can bounce if you don't want to hear the spoilers. However, before we get there, we need to cover a few things before that. First, our next two books for Season 3. They're going to be Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid and Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by Jessica Guerrier. Guerrieri, damn it. Sorry, Jessica.
Does it remind you of another word? Does it remind you of your favorite cheese?
My favorite cheese that I'll never be able to pronounce correctly.
What is it?
Gruyere. No. Gruyere.
Gruyere.
God damn it.
So we're excited about Jessica's book, but I am also very excited because I believe this is your first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, right?
It is.
I remember we watched Daisy Jones and the Six, but you didn't read that. We just watched it, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Well, I do think that you're going to love this one. And Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea is a book that I read earlier this year, and I'm excited to dive back into that ahead of the episode. And we are going to have the author Jessica on with us.
Nice.
So that's very exciting as well.
That is exciting. I really enjoyed meeting Jessica earlier this year, and I'm excited to actually pick up her book. I actually feel ready for it this time around. I wasn't quite ready for it when we first met. So then next up, you want to share some details about RomanceCon?
Yes. So if you didn't hear, we will be a vendor at RomanceCon. It's this Friday and Saturday in Milwaukee. So if you're going or if you're close to Milwaukee and you want to get your tickets still, be sure to stop by our booth, grab some swag. We're going to have stickers, bookmarks, and some painstakingly made friendship bracelets that I have spent a lot of time working on.
Yes, you have.
And if you're there, you will have a chance to enter a contest and possibly pick a book that John has to read.
I know this has fallen on deaf ears, but I did not agree. I did not agree to this.
I think you agreed when you said I do.
It's a lot of things I seem to have agreed to when I said that. Curse the fine print. But yes, we'll be at RomanceCon, so be sure to stop by. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to meet some of our listeners and get kind of a first-hand account of what they've thought of the show so far.
Yes. And during the break, we also joined TikTok, so be sure to follow us there at BIMMHR Books I Make My Husband Read, but it's BIMMHR, so you can keep up with all of our shenanigans. I will be the first to say that we have actually no idea what we're doing on TikTok, but we are trying to have a lot of fun and gain some listeners there to spread the word about this amazing podcast. So be sure to follow us and tell your friends.
Yes, tell your friends. There are a couple exennials on TikTok. That in and of itself should be entertaining. And of course, we're still on Instagram, so head over there and follow us and check out all the content there and on our website, which now includes a sign-up form for our bi-monthly newsletter, which I think we're both excited about. Kristy will have book reviews outside of podcasts. We'll share upcoming podcast episodes and things like that. So fear not, we shall not spam you. We hate it as much as you do.
And our final thing that we wanted to remind listeners is if you're enjoying the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you happen to be listening. It helps us reach other listeners so that we can continue to produce more episodes and make John read more books.
Yeah. Well, how about that spoiler-free book summary?
You got it, dude. After nearly 18 months at Basgiath War College, Violet Sorrengail knows there's no more time for lessons, no more time for uncertainty, because the battle has truly begun, and with enemies closing in from outside their walls and within their ranks, it's impossible to know who to trust.
Now, Violet must journey beyond the failing Eurasian wards to seek allies from unfamiliar lands to stand with Navarre. The trip will test every bit of her wit, her luck, and her strength, but she will do anything to save what she loves. Her dragons, her family, her home, and of course, him.
Even if it means keeping a secret so big it could destroy everything. They need an army, they need power, they need magic, and they need the one thing only Violet can find, the truth. But a storm is coming, and not everyone can survive its wrath.
Indeed not. All right then, listeners. From here on, spoiler sparks are gonna fly. Some from magic, some from dragons, and some, naturally, from the bedroom. Well, new season. You want to go first, or should I go first with our thoughts on this book?
I'll go first.
Hit it.
I really like this one. I didn't like it as much as Fourth Wing or Iron Flame, though. A couple problems I had with the book and why I felt that way. One is the pacing. One thing I appreciate about Rebecca Yarros, this series, I should say, is it picks up immediately. Like, you pick up right where you were in Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Iron Flame, you pick up right where you, like, the exact same scene in Onyx Storm. And I really like that about a book. Like, I feel like when you pick up a series and there is a time gap, that bothers me unless there's a compelling reason for the time gap. But I feel like we are dropped into that same scene, though. We're kind of moseying along. We're going to the aisles. And then the last 100 pages or so of the book, just a shitstorm of things happen. And Onyx Storm happens. And so for me, like, the pacing was off there. The other thing is we get so many, not necessarily new characters, but we hear more about other characters that were present in other books, but not as often. And so suddenly they're like a main part of the storyline. And I'm not quite sure who they are like, I know Violet, I know Xaden, I know Kat, I know Imogen, like, you know those right away. But these other characters, I have to like think for a second, then I have to think about what their dragon is. And now we get new names, and now we're on different aisles and different parts of like this not continent, but this world. And we're learning new gods' names and what type of, people they worship or gods they worship and like what they stand for. So there's just so many things we're learning in this book. And I don't want to say it was overwhelming, but I wasn't quick to know it. So I felt like I had to like go back. Okay, like, what was this? What was this? And I don't know. It just didn't create quite the reading experience. I gave it a 4. I kind of went back and forth whether I wanted to give it a 4 or a 5, but I don't know. It just didn't quite land all the way for me. And the other thing I got a little hung up on is I, of course, we both did a ton of questions coming out of book 2, which is understandable. I have a ton of questions coming out of this book, but I felt like I was getting some of those answers specific to the storyline of her father. And then that just kind of dropped for me. in somewhere in the middle, like, I don't know, 2/3, 3/4 of the book, like all this stuff she was researching on her father. And then we move into this battle scene at the end. And so, which was a huge chunk of, I mean, like, we're not talking like it's just one, it's a long part of the book. So, and all this stuff that happens. So that's kind of why I felt like I did. Again, still really loved it.
Yeah, I think that mirrors a lot of how I felt about it too. I don't think I would have come up with the word pacing, but I think that hits the nail on the head, that it felt like a bit slow through 2/3 in the middle of the book. And then all of a sudden it was all these things, all these really impactful and important things happening in the last couple chapters. I thought it was cool, the different isles that you get to learn about, though I was left like wanting to learn more. It's like they were just there for a hot second and then poof, they were gone. So I also thought at the end, the narration changed. It wasn't just from Violet's point of view. It went to like an Imogen chapter. It went to a Rhiannon chapter and a Xaden chapter. And I felt that was a bit jarring. While I almost wish I would have got more of that through the whole book. But I mean, it was still an enjoyable read. I wanted to know what happens next. I never really felt totally bored with it or anything. Some things I wish would have been like, all right, come on, let's move this along. But it's still good.
I didn't necessarily feel that way at all. I definitely was enjoying the story. I read it twice now, so I feel like I had a better understanding and grasp the second time through, which of course,
yeah, right,
obviously,
and
you know when you know where the story is going,
yeah,
you pick up things, you're like, oh, that's why XYZ, right? Yeah. So that's just natural. I do think that I completely agree with you on the chapters at the end. I think there was a Xaden chapter in the end of Iron Flame.
I think so. Yeah, it was the first time that it was a different narrator.
I do wonder how the story would be, and I'm not saying I think it's better served, but it might be, I think, maybe written from multiple points of view, just because there are so many things happen than we just hearing from Violet throughout the story, which who knows, might happen more in book 4. I think they were a little jarring because we hadn't heard from those characters before.
Yeah.
And so we don't know their voice. We don't know, I don't know, are they reliable narrators? And
their dragon's voice would come in, or like their dragon too was coming into those narrations too, and that just felt weird because now, like you were saying earlier, not only do you have to know their names, but now like you're introducing a new dragon personality with this rider, and it was just,
and because a lot of things happens in those chapters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely get that. And I think that's for me kind of why I don't totally agree with you on the slowness of the first part of the book. I don't think it was slow. I think it was a lot of stuff happens in a very methodical, good pacing, and then the same amount happens. I mean, it's a 500+ page book. The same amount happens in the last 100 pages is what I mean.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it was slow. I just think the pacing was good because a lot of stuff happens in those 400. But
it's just like the juxtaposition of the pacing from the end to the rest of the book. Yeah,
exactly.
I get that. That makes sense.
Going into our first questions, in the first part of the book, a fair amount of time is spent on this quest visiting other isles. So what did you think of the ones that the squads visited, and did it add to the world building for you?
It definitely added to the world building. It was really interesting to see places that weren't Eurasia or Navarre. So just learning about those cultures and learning about the different people. I almost wish we would have gotten more of them. Like I kind of hinted at it, just sort of like they popped in and then popped out, and they were really brutal and really dramatic and really dynamic, and then all of a sudden they were gone.
Yeah.
I was left wanting a little bit more there, but I like the expansion. I like that the twist that like there was no magic on the Isles, and so that was something new. Supposedly. So that was something new and kind of an interesting dynamic change with all the characters that were on the quest. What do you call it? The quest squad. The quest squad.
We're going on a
quest. So, yeah.
I want to talk about the violence, because there's violence in some type of form on every single one of the Isles. Some are more obvious than others, but we have the first one they said, Deverelli, and Halden's guard gets killed and beheaded, and then the Panthers eat the head, and then he says to kill them all at one point. And then we have the combat battle in Umbriel, and we have Traeger being shot and killed in Zanal, which
was tragic.
But I think what is set up at first is that like these are non-violent people. This is the first place they go to where like they're excited to see them, and there's people literally like in the what I imagine is like
the Coliseum arena kind of thing.
No, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking in my head, I was picturing like they have a waterfront or some kind of like riverfront, and there's like bleachers set up, and people are like literally hanging out on these bleachers, like watching the skies for these dragons. And then these dragons show up, and people are like, we're here. We're so excited to see you. And then what turns out to be these like innocuous gifts that they get. And then one ends up killing them because it's, God of luck. So still violent though. And then the last one is the Hedotus, and where we meet Xaden's mother. Their culture is rooted in knowledge, and that is the god they pray to. But yet the father poisons the chocolate cake and is ready to kill them all too. So like there's violence in various shapes and forms on all these islands, even though a lot of or I think several of them, like, we don't have weapons.
Right.
They don't have dragons.
Yeah. Which everybody
There's no
wants.
magic, but yet there's violence in all these forms. And so I think that doesn't mean anything now, but I think it's going to mean something later.
Setting it up.
Yeah. So I think that what we learned there, it was like you said, it's a lot. Like we get all this and you're like, why are we here? What are we learning? I don't think we know yet. I think we're going to find out later on.
Yeah. It's kind of like all the seeds that she planted she being Rebecca Yarros, planted in like Iron Flame about her Violet's father. And now we get more of that story in this, but you're right. It's probably the same thing. Like we're getting pieces of these isles, and hopefully we get more of them, get more in depth.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about the Isle specifically not having magic. So while they're there, the riders and their dragons can't communicate through the bond while on this quest. However, Violet and Terrence still have the bond. Why do you think this was? Do you think it'll play any significance in books 4 and 5?
Because she's the most powerful being in the world. I assume it has something to do with her untapped power and potential, yet I don't know. That's really like the only thought that came to my head, was that it had to do with something like that. Because I think up to this point, we don't know what her second signet is yet. And so I thought maybe it would have something to do with that. But I absolutely think it has more importance, more significance than we know about yet. I'm sure it's yet another seed in this series that will get played out, in books 4 and 5 and beyond. So it was also interesting to me because she could talk to Terran, but Terran couldn't talk to Sigale, and she could talk to Andarna. So I was like, well, is it Andarna the one that's like channeling this magic? But then why could Terran still? Yeah. So I don't know. What did you think about her ability to still communicate?
I think it's something to do with Andarna because, like you said, Sigale and Terran, like Terran can talk to Violet, but he can't communicate with Sigale. And we know that Terran and Andarna can communicate too. So the three of them can communicate. And because Terran is also, through this bond between Sigale and himself, can communicate, he can actually, he can communicate with Xaden too. So there's like all these people he can communicate with, but the only, I feel like, thing that's in the middle is the Andarna angle.
She's the connecting tissue? She's
the connecting tissue, because if it was something else, why can't he also communicate with Sigale? Why can't he also communicate with Xaden? Why can't Xaden and Violet communicate?
Yeah, I see where you're going. Maybe it's Violet, because she can still talk to...
But she can't talk to Xaden.
Oh, right. That's true. Because I was going to say she could still talk to Terran even after Andarna.
Right, but not on the Isles. They're not on the Isles at that point.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
that makes sense then, yeah.
And I think the other thing is, and you had actually brought this up in another conversation, is the Irids, and I think it's because Andarna's an Irid, the Irids can communicate with everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's going to play a role because we see them be able to communicate, and then everyone's like, "Wait,
what the
were
fuck
they
was
talking?
that?
Yeah, were they talking to us?
Why
like,
can I hear Andarna now?
Right, like normally I only communicate with my own dragon, so I think that is a big part of it.
Yeah, I wonder if all those isles don't have magic anymore from the first war with the Venin. I wonder if all those isles were drained, and now it's just humans living there, and dragons can't live there anymore. I don't know. I imagine that would have been in the history books, but of course, there's a lot of things that were left out of the history books. So,
all right, let's talk about Andarna. How did you feel about her teenage sass?
I thought it was. I mean, she's been sassy from her introduction. I think it's a great character trait. I love that part of the book. It's fun and light, but also some quasi annoying, but also like totally applicable, and you can absolutely believe it to be a true character trait. I thought it was great. I like that sass. You?
I thought it was, I mean, there were multiple times when I laughed out loud based on something she would say, specifically her sass with Taryn, and she would like mock him like in his old age, and then she would also very teenage like get distracted by something else, like, oh, sheep or whatever. Yeah. So I thought it was a really good comic relief within the book.
Yeah, I liked her. I was very sad when she decided to leave.
Yeah. Let's talk about her leaving, though, and like specifically the very first time we encounter in the Irids and how they treated Andarna. What did you think about that? Did that surprise you?
Their treatment of her?
Yeah, that like this quest squad has been searching for these Irids, and
the Irids wound up finding them.
Well, yeah, ended up finding them, which to me means they probably knew where they were the whole time.
Right.
They obviously have known where Andarna is the whole time. We found out they left Andarna.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's kind of like, oh, they would welcome her with open arms and like all this. And that's not at all how it goes.
Yeah, that was a little surprising because I think you're left to assume that she was lost somehow or whatever, not necessarily left on intentionally in Navarre. And plus just like her desire, her like deep feeling of wanting to reconnect with her family, wanting to understand where she came from, you're kind of led to believe, or it's implied that like they would have just taken her in and blah, blah, blah. So I was hurt for her, I guess, is really kind of what I amounted to, because she was so excited and just like so interested in wanting to find out where she came from and why she is how she is, or why she's different than the other dragons that she knows of right now.
What did you think specifically of them saying that Violet was using her as a weapon?
Yeah. From what a little bit we learned about them, if they're quote unquote a peaceful breed, then yeah, I can see how that would be really jarring. But to Violet and everyone else there, like that's normal life. Dragons are weapons. They're bred for that thing. So I think it just showed the vast gap in connection and understanding, like how much they really don't know about this other breed of dragon, which makes me wonder, like, do the other dragons not know either? Like, do the other 6 breeds not really understand this 7th breed? Like, how do they not know that this is a peaceful breed, or this is, whatever?
Well, every time that Taryn gets to the Great War, when he's offering a soliloquy on
how great he is,
his family lineage, and I'm Tiernanak of blah, 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 blah. He always stops at the Great War. So I wonder if, like humans, there is this loss of history on the dragon side as well.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I just actually thought of that. So,
well, back to your original question, though, like, what did you think of the Irids finding them and like how they treated her?
Yeah. I do think it was really sad. I felt bad for Andarna and felt for like that longing she has to know family, to understand. But then also at first I thought, well, Violet wasn't using her. I mean, I thought that like Violet's not using her. That's totally normal. But from their standpoint, I can completely understand why they feel that way.
Well, and I think they were specifically referring to how she used her power and drew power to stop
when
time.
She was a juvenile.
Yeah, when she was a juvenile and stuff like that. Yeah.
But then also Andarna choosing like the tail that she chose, and like seeing herself as this weapon. I think there's a lot about the Irids we don't know. I think we're gonna find out, I guess, that the Irids chose to leave. We know at one point that dragons did not bond with humans, and that was a choice that is talked about in the book when the first dragon decided to do that. So I do wonder if that was a choice that the seventh breed didn't make, and then they left after they helped fire up the Wardstone. And then remember, they tried to erase that from the history book.
Yeah.
I don't remember but that other diary that we see that they get in Iron Flame, where they find that out that there's like a seventh. Yeah. Right. So I just, there's just so many things we don't know yet. And that we're just like still pulling back.
It's such an expansive world.
Yeah. Yep. In chapter 12, Violet visits Jack Barlow, and he gives Violet some intel on the venom in exchange for alloy. In this conversation, Jack implies that someone at Basgiath has been channeling for years. We learn that Panchek is a traitor. That's in the Xaden chapter. Do you think there are others?
I mean, I think there would have to be, because wasn't there like an entire battle where like they were hanging out with Sawyer, and then all of a sudden they realized that like they're under attack by venom within their own walls, and they were dressed as scribes, or it was clear that they could be walking among them and people wouldn't know it.
Right. I'm asking if there are characters
that we know.
Well, we know at least one because that's at the end of the book. But are there other characters that have been incognito this whole time?
Probably. I don't know that I would have names, though. Do you have any theories?
I think I want to save them. I guess this is a poorly planned question in the middle of this.
It was a teaser question.
So, but I think that you're right. I think that there has to be.
Yeah.
What did you think about the revelation of Violet's second signet? What implications do you think her dream walking signet will have in the future? And do you think there is more to that we don't know?
Yes. I think there's more to everything that we don't know.
That's true.
So, anytime
we don't know anything.
Anytime
you know nothing, Jon Snow.
My answer would be yes. I thought her second signet, maybe a little, I don't know if this is going to sound exactly how I mean it, but it felt a little anticlimactic when it was revealed. I don't know why I feel that way. It just, as I was reading, it was like, oh, okay. But it did make me think back in one of our other episodes when we were talking about these books, when we were hypothesizing what signets could be. I think one of them that we talked about was for her a sort of like future seeing or that sort of thing, because she was having these dreams about venom, about the sage, and the hypothesis was like maybe she's seeing a battle of the future. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to manifest. I don't know if that will wind up being some way that like her and Xaden still communicate somehow, even though their bond is dismantled, that maybe she's walking into the dreams and like that's how they can keep their connection or something. But yeah, I don't know. What are your theories or thoughts on her signet?
I think there is, like you said, there's a lot more to it. I wonder, going back to book 2 in Iron Flame, she was having visions of what she thought were nightmares or whatever of the sage.
Right.
And saying the sage telling her she will turn. Now we know that's not her. She was in someone else's. Do you think not only is she in dreams, and we know some of them are like possibly the future, that she can go to dreams of people who precede her?
Like dead people?
Or that happened before she was alive?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Meaning, is there a possibility that was her mother's dream, which I'll talk about later?
How the fuck did you get there?
You'll see.
Oh, another stupid question. Jeez.
Because I think it's implied that some of these dreams have, like, these are things going to happen that people are dreaming about.
Yeah.
Right?
Or have, because dreams aren't necessarily precognition of the future.
No. They're usually our memories of things that like our brain.
Yeah.
But I thought it was implied, like the specific one, the painting that she's in. It's not Kat. Who's?
Oh, the picture that she goes, the burning.
Yeah.
That was a memory of hers.
It was a memory. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't remember the character's name either, but yeah, that was her memory. That's why when she went to validate this was happening, she went to pull out the picture because she was able to save it from that fire.
Okay. But I was thinking, she hasn't put together what she's seeing yet. Some of these dreams, she doesn't, like, she knows the one she's with Xaden.
Yeah.
Because they've talked about it. Now she knows that other one because she was she was able to tie it to a specific thing, but she hasn't thought about
from that point of view, all these other dreams or nightmares that she's had.
Yeah.
Have they also been dreamwalking?
Right. Has it only been Xaden's?
Yeah.
Were there other people in Iron Flame that she was in their dream?
Great question.
I don't know.
Me neither.
So on the same lines as the second signet, we had several other second signet revelations in this book, including Garrick's ability to distance wield and Imogen's apparent earth or rock wielding abilities. We're not 100% sure on that. Plus, we learned that Auric is a precog and can see the future. How might these signets be used in useful ways in the ongoing war?
Well, 2/3 of them we learned in the last 50 pages or whatever it was. So
I don't even think it's that.
It's just like, I have no idea. I had no time to process what that could possibly mean.
Honestly, the first time I read it, I didn't miss Imogen's, but like I wasn't even really realizing what happened.
Yeah, until Bodhi says, no, it was Garrick who picks her up.
No, it's Dane who says, we're going to talk about that later.
That's right.
And then I was like, wait, what are they going to talk about? So I was like, I'm like, oh, she does this thing.
She wielded. Yeah, that's true. You're right. Because when it happened, I'm like, I was trying to think back. Has she ever wielded before? Has Imogen ever but no, that was the first time that. Yeah. So
she's a mind. She erases minds. But she's never had this earth. Again, it's like she moves the earth or rocks with the earth. Yeah. So, but we don't know what that exactly entails yet.
Oh, I just had a thought, but I don't think it's very meaningful. But I was just like, if you said she moves the earth, I wonder if she pulled magic from the earth to move the earth, and if that means she could be one of a venom. Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, precognition. I don't know how that's not. That seems just as dangerous as an intrinsic or a dreamwalker or anything like that. That seems so powerful.
It's not a privacy thing totally, though. You're not in a person's mind.
True.
You're just seeing the outcome of something. I hear you. It does seem that. But I think it's for people the privacy of it versus think if you had someone on your team that knew what was going to, that's a huge advantage.
Or
so
knew
I think
what to do.
That's why those people aren't considered as dangerous.
That's fair. He was trying to elude to Violet about the temple and go protect the temple because he knew what would happen. Yeah, it's crazy.
But also, freaking Auric, you have a lot more information than you're just fucking tell us.
Oh, yeah, for real. Throughout the whole quest, too, he's just keeps peeling back these layers of you're fluent in all these languages. Oh, you know all this history. And so, yeah. But I mean, I guess to Taryn's point, no one ever asked him about it either. So he's not just going to freely give this information out until it's needed. Anyway, he was one of the characters I did enjoy getting to know a little bit more too.
Yeah, same.
So,
all right. So continuing on the signets, when Violet asked Xaden about the rebels having second signets, he says that when the dragons came looking for them, specifically the rebels, they knew what they were doing. And he says it was like they were, quote, building their own army. What do you think this means?
It means that dragons know everything, and this is totally them pulling the puppet strings. Yeah, I don't know. So, what are your thoughts on that question? I don't have much more deeper than that.
No, I think just basically that the more signets equals more power for the dragons. And I keep going back to the fact that this is not the Violet and Xaden show. This series is specifically called the Empyrean series.
Yeah.
It's the dragons.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that they're pulling the strings. I think there's so much more that we don't know about the dragons, about maybe specifically what really happened in this war, specifically why they chose to bond with humans at first, why they hadn't previously.
Yeah. Because if more signets mean more power, why wouldn't they have bonded earlier?
No. Meaning they picked riders that had multiple signets, which stemmed from the marks the marked ones and what they got after the rebellion.
Oh, I'm not sure I'm following.
So
that.
all the
marked ones?
All the marked ones have second signets. Nobody knows this.
Oh, second signets. Okay. All right. I'm tracking. All right. I'm with you.
Right. So the dragons specifically went out some of the most powerful dragons went out seeking. That's
The
what
marked
That's
ones.
what
That's
Xaden
what
is
Xaden-
saying.
Okay,
Like they
all right.
sought us out. It's no coincidence that the strongest dragons are with picked us.
Okay. Check. Okay, got it. Do you think we're gonna hate dragons after this series?
I don't know.
I don't want to dislike dragons. I like them too much.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think
but
so
I might
either.
wait for my tattoo until I find out for sure.
Your tattoo should not hinge on
Whether or not this series ends
how this
positively.
series ends. I think though that either way, they are also battling against a corrupt government. So I don't necessarily think that we're going to hate them. I think that they probably are using some of the humans or humans as much as the humans are using them.
By corrupt government, you mean the Imperium?
No.
The human government?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And in the fact that they've erased history.
Yeah, true.
So one thing I was looking forward to coming out of Iron Flame was learning more about Violet's dad. And we learned that her father, Asher, did a fair amount of research before he married Lilith, her mom, assuming that he took the name Sorengale after they were married, although the internet has speculated that he could have used a pen name to do some of this research.
Yeah.
I don't really like that idea, but do you think that this has any significance, and do you think we'll learn more about the timeline of Violet's father and her research? Her research, as you say.
Yes. Again, do I think more will be uncovered? Yes.
I need to work
do.
more on my open-ended questions. Why didn't I learn that in grade school? Yes.
Yes, it will. I was really happy to get more about her dad. I think we talked about that even maybe in Fourth Wing episode, or maybe it's just Iron Flame episode. I don't remember. But I'm like, there's got to be more about her dad. I want to learn more. He keeps coming up. He seems to be such an important pillar of not just Violet's background, but now all of Navarre, really, and Eurasia through his research.
He's obviously a pivotal person in this story because of the research, because of the things he's uncovered.
Yeah.
But I think it's been more, I don't think people realize the significance of what he was doing.
Right.
And that's going to end up playing a pivotal role. But I think that no one thought, this, Colonel Atos, he had asked about that research, but I don't think he realized the things that her dad was doing.
Yeah. I mean, he went quite out of his way to hide and protect all those other books and journals on another isle with cryptic code locks and
that only Violet,
only Violet would know.
Yep.
And so, yeah. And I don't think we got even I feel like we got the tip of the iceberg on what's even in all of those in this book too. So in this book also.
Yeah.
What did you think of Asher's research and his, I guess you kind of answered that already. Huh?
Oh, I mean, I think that there's so much more we're going to find out. I think that I am curious about the timeline, when did he start this? When along the way, because obviously he does some before they're married, while they're married. What's the timeline of that, and how long has this? Even Violet brings it up. There's so much more than she realized. When did my father have time to visit these isles?
Right.
So it lends me to think that he's doing this before she was born.
Yep.
And I think there's so much more there.
Yeah.
I did think we were going to learn more than we did in this book. Again, we still learn a lot. I was disappointed that we didn't get a little bit more of her father. It kind of ends, but because that part to me is, I don't know,
really
so interesting. It's just
Yeah.
really interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you are kind of a historian buff. You like that sort of thing.
So we also get several excerpts from a Colonel Daxton at the beginning of 4 chapters. Asher, Violet's father, had taken the name Sorengale by the time he reached the rank of lieutenant colonel. And this was his rank when he died, meaning he would not have reached the rank of colonel. So Colonel Daxton, is Colonel Daxton Asher's father, who we really haven't heard about yet, or Nyra, the grandmother that Mira went to visit?
That's a pretty loaded question. I don't know. I did catch the names were different. I think I probably assumed at the time or while I was reading it that it was Asher's father and that this...
That's sexist.
Wait, what? What?
You assumed it was his father and not his mother.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
has nothing to do with it.
That it was a grandparent of Violet. That clearly the research,
or any other relative.
Clearly the research didn't start with Asher. That it had started long before that, and so somewhere in the bloodline on either side of the family tree, it did start before Asher. So Asher just picked up or continued or uncovered new pieces. So I do think that rabbit hole is fairly deep yet.
Yeah. I think it's the grandmother, Naira, because one, she's mentioned.
Yeah.
I just don't think that this would be someone who we have to guess who it is. I feel like the breadcrumbs are there for us. Rebecca Yarros has shown that she's pretty good at giving us what we need to like kind of figure this out or put together somewhat of a puzzle. And I mean, like, appreciate that about her writing.
Yeah.
But also, I think that lends itself to how long Asher had been doing this research, because if his mother was doing it before him, probably just like Violet got interested in it because her father, he got interested in it because of his mother.
Sure.
He's been exposed to it at a young age. Maybe she's feeding him this, information. They're doing it together. He's able to take trips, presumably maybe before he meets Lilith, do some of this travel. And then also that could be the reason why Naira gets mad after they do or Asher does the dedication, because maybe she sees it as his betrayal that you are a scribe, you deal in facts, you deal in history, and now you're doing this dedication that she doesn't, I think, believe in.
Right.
And then that's when she severs, the relationship, which the children thought, Violet and her brother and sister thought was something that the mother did. But it turns out Lilith was against it too.
Right.
Those excerpts, they're just like so filled with so much information at the beginning of every book, every chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, they really are.
Yep. All right. So our next two questions are going to be the Onyx Storm that is the last 100 pages of this book or whatever it is.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go through chapter by chapter.
Oh boy.
Oh, sorry. No, it's two. Okay. We're going to go through the last two chapters. Let's talk about chapter 65, which is Xaden, the chapter we hear from Xaden. We learn that Berwyn, which is the sage, isn't dead, even though this whole book we thought he was dead, and we thought he was dead because that's why Xaden actually channels. So Xaden said he would kill him if he could, and wonders how many initiates feel the same way about their sage. He's talking about Berwyn. And he says he can think of at least one that he knows of. Who do you think he's talking about?
Is this the brother reference that he mentions in chapter 2?
I don't think so at this point.
Because he's just finding out about that person?
Yeah. I'm not sure if he says this before or after, but I don't know if he's referring to he knows at this point Panchek is a Venin.
Yeah.
Is he referring to Panchek? That's what I'm saying. Like, are there other people we don't know that are Venin that Xaden knows? I mean, we learn of one, but are there others that Xaden knows of?
No clue. Yeah, I got nothing. What are your theories? I have zero.
I mean, I have some possible theories. So, but before we talk about that, I want to
Oh my God, another teaser question. Jesus.
I'm not changing the question. I want to talk about what else we learn in this chapter.
Okay.
So we can have a full conversation about it. So we learn in this chapter that Xaden is actually no longer initiate. He is an ASIN because he channels again and enough that he changes. And he says that Violet will help him with what we don't know, but Sigale says he'll never let you near her. And I think she's talking about Taryn. And then we learn that he has a new brother. Do you have guesses of who that might be?
The only two people that come to mind could be Bodhi or Garrick, because they've been the closest to him throughout the whole series. The only reason I say Garrick possibly is because we do learn earlier on of his signet of speed walking. I don't know what the official term was. Distance
wielding, I think.
Distance wielding. There is a point in the last part of the book where Violet makes a comment, something to the effect of like, he would have burnt out by now the number of times he's gone back and forth. I don't remember if he was bringing weapons or if he was moving people or what, but he was using his signet as part of the battle, like to save people or something like that. I don't
Bodhi?
remember. No, Garrick.
Okay.
And so that makes me think maybe he's drawing from the earth in order to have a greater impact in the battle, to save more people, to he was doing it for the right reasons, the same way Xaden had to beat, in theory, the Sage. That's my only thought in that. I don't have...
So the internet thinks it's Garrick or Bodhi. Like, there is strong consensus that it's
yay me.
them. I don't know.
I'll be.
I do think that there's an argument to make that it could be Brennan. Now, I don't want to believe that Brennan is Venom, but he is sus. I'll tell you why.
Just use sus.
The scene where Violet learns that Brennan knows that he's Venom is weird to me. And we don't get the scene from Xaden or Brennan of when he learns. All we know is that he knows.
He knows.
So there's a part of me that thinks Brennan recognized it because he is also Venom. Or he has maybe been very close to someone else who's Venom. I just think that like that whole scene is like glossed over in a way that when you look back at it, you're like, that is weird. How did he learn? We don't get scenes from other people. So throughout the most of the book, we're only hearing from Violet. So of course there are things going on, conversations, whatever, that we don't get.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that Brendan is not quite right.
Okay. You heard it here first.
He's not quite right. I don't know. I don't know that he's a brother, but I think there's something there. Or maybe he's not the brother, but he is Venom. That doesn't have to be mutually exclusive.
Sure. Very interesting.
Yes. All right, let's move to chapter 66. This is the final chapter, and here are some of the things that we know. Violet and Xaden are now married, and Violet was missing for over 12 hours. Imogen wiped Violet's memory at her own request. Violet reaches for the bond with Xaden, but it's not there. It's not dark or anything. Like, she says it's not there.
Right.
It's not, right.
Very different from...
Different than, like...
She hits a wall.
Right. Or, like, he has his shields down. Like, different.
Yeah, I get it.
Taryn needs a cycle to recover, from what we don't know. 4 riders and their dragons are dead, including 3 elders. I think we can assume that Xaden is counted among those who are missing, and probably whoever that new brother is, and Pancheck, I'm guessing. So maybe there's just like 1 unaccounted for. There are 6 dragon eggs missing. And Andarna says she will not let them burn Violet. And remember, riders get burned for treason.
Yeah.
So we can assume that Andarna's bond is back. Xaden tells Violet that it's yours and not to come looking for him. It's being, we assume... Tyrandor, right? So, tell me all of your theories with everything that happened. Literally, that all happens in 1 chapter.
I know, seriously.
And it's not that long of a chapter.
No, it's not. I have...
You got nothing?
I got nothing. I read it, and it was just like, it was so much. It was a little overwhelming to what you were saying earlier, and it just kind of, like, okay, that's all true. The dragon, like, it was pretty crazy, like the dragon eggs missing and the dragons and the riders being dead. That was surprising.
Do we know, though, that the riders are dead, or are we assuming that the dragons are, they assume the riders are dead because the dragons are dead? And I say that because remember that if a dragon dies, its rider dies, but not if it's Venom.
Yeah, Jack survives.
Right. So they could be assuming these riders are dead because they have dead dragons, but we know that that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I got nothing.
What do you think about them being married, though, and what what Xaden's motivation was to make that happen?
Some way to keep her safe from something. I don't know. Probably from Atos or somewhere in the school. Like, she's no longer just a cadet. Now she's a
Duchess of Tyrandor.
So some reason to protect her from either his actions or her soon-to-be actions. I don't know, but that's what I assume from that.
Yeah, I think so too, because Xaden says he'll never use her to protect Tyrandor, but he will use Tyrandor to protect her. And so far, we know Atos has come after her, and Xaden's not going to be around any longer.
Right.
And Violet is only a cadet, as you mentioned, so she doesn't really have power or something to hide behind, but now she does. And we know that she could possibly be, I think that they're going to find out Violet knew he was Venin, and so then she could be tried for treason.
Yeah.
And that's why Andarna says, I'm not going to let him burn you. But now
That makes sense.
she has the protection of Tyrrendor.
Right. Makes sense.
Let's talk about the bond not being there with Xaden.
Okay.
So presumably we believe that Xaden and Violet have a bond because Sigale and Terran have a bond.
Right.
So if the bond is not there, what does that mean between the bond between Sigale and Terran? And is that the reason that Terran has to recover? Because he's also grieving because he severed the bond with Sigale. Because Sigale is interesting because remember, she's been giving Xaden basically the cold shoulder this whole book because he turned.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you kind of see her helping him.
Well, helping him or helping Terran or helping
that we don't know, but
Venin,
having a conversation saying how they're going to, come up to for a resolution for whatever that means. I don't think we know what that means yet, but
yeah, I don't know. What are your theories? I don't have any.
I just gave you them all.
Oh, okay.
I think that, my thought would be, Terran and Sigale, maybe they sever their bond because they can't be together. Like Xaden has to leave.
Yeah.
He says, don't look for me. He has to leave now. And that means that Sigale and Terran are going to be apart. And so maybe Terran needs this recovery time because he's dealing with a shattered bond.
Yeah. So what happens with Sigale then?
I don't know. Or maybe she doesn't. Maybe she severed the bond with
Xaden, and now Terran has to grieve also because
that probably makes more sense. Maybe she is grieving, so Terran is grieving because she severed the bond with Xaden. That's why Violet can't talk to Xaden.
Yeah.
There has to be something with bonds there because, like she said, she reaches for the bond is
empty,
not there. Right. Yeah.
Gone.
Finito. Poof. I'm just, I don't know when we're getting book 4, but I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I know. There's just so much. Even just hearing you rattle off all those things that happened in the last 20, 50 pages or whatever, it's just like, oh my God, why couldn't you spread this out a little bit more? Give us a little bit more, give us little drops along the way instead of this all at once. It's a lot.
I do think the whole book really could have been all the quests that happened. And then this battle scene and everything that happened could probably have been a whole freaking book.
Yeah, I know. For reals.
Learn more. I don't know. But, Well, here we are. Do you have any final thoughts about this book? And then, of course, would you recommend it to our listeners?
This book was overwhelming, but in a good way. I think that's, to be expected a little bit in a series that is this deep and diverse and expansive. It's good that you're able to go deep, that it's not just all surface level kind of characters and worlds and things like that. But it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to maintain, especially for a less analytical reader than some.
You're still enjoying it though.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I'm not making all the connections that others do, which is fine. I totally enjoyed the book.
Yeah. I don't think you enjoyed it less because you're not sitting here and thinking of all the crazy theories I have.
No.
But you can absolutely enjoy it 100%.
Yeah. And I did. I definitely did. I'm excited for the 4th one also. I hope we get more on the Irids. I hope we get more on what did Andarna learn in the time that she was away or what happened there. And yeah. Who's the brother?
Who's a brother? More on her dad. I even think more on her mom, to be honest.
Mira and Brennan, too. We still don't really know a ton about them either.
Yep.
Even though they've been in it for 2 books now.
Right. I think it's back to what you were saying about the book, and there's just so much. And it's funny, I was talking to someone the other day and asking them what kind of books they like to read because they asked me for recommendations, and they said they like fantasy, but they don't like things with dragons. And I said, tell me why. And they said, because they feel like when there's dragons, there has to be like a whole bunch of world building that happens, which is completely fair because we don't have dragons in this world, or do we? And I love the fantasy world because of that. And I actually think any book really, like whether it's dragons or another type of magical being, like you have to have world building. But specifically, I love that about it because you get to learn so much more. We're constantly hearing more about this place and their culture and the people that live there and their customs and, you know, even their languages,
Right.
their gods and, you know, how they worship and what their values and that they hold. So I think that, like you said, any book or book series like this, like it is going to feel overwhelming because there is a lot.
Yeah.
You're not just getting a story that is set in this world and about customs and things you understand or values or a government that you understand. Like it's completely foreign to us. So I love that about it. Yeah. I mean, I didn't love the pacing of this book, but there's just, it felt like drinking from a fire hose the last 100 pages, I guess. And maybe that's why I was just like, wow, but it was still great.
It was. I would recommend, but you got to read the first two.
Yeah. This is not a standalone. You will not understand all the things that are going on. But if you like fantasy, if you are into world building, like deep world building, absolutely.
Check the series out.
Check the series out.
Yep.
If you don't like dragons, it's not for you, but.
Then we can't be friends.
We can be friends.
Okay. From a distance.
Well, we wanted to remind everyone that the next two books in our lineup are Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid and Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by Jessica Guerreri. And as always, don't forget that a free way to support our show is by leaving us a review and rating us on Apple Podcasts. Also, if you don't want to rate us, but you have a question or feedback, you can email us at booksimake-my-husband-read@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. You can also DM us on TikTok or Instagram.
I think it's still funny that you say TikTok.
What am I supposed to say?
No, it's just funny that we're on TikTok.
Oh.
And be sure to tell any other book lover about the show.
Yes. Well, I guess that's it.
That is the first in season 3 in the books.
Well, who knows? Maybe this will be the one your husband reads.
Okay then, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out.
TTFN.